Our next presentation is a Zoom presentation done by Aldo, Zana.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Yeah. Okay. Condividi. Yeah, okay. Yeah, can go. Io sono pronto. Yeah, ready. Okay, let's go. Va bene. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here talking, hopefully, in understandable English. I apologize for my heavy Italian accent, but I will talk about something relating to Germany. So it will be a bit difficult to understand an Italian speaking about something German. But anyway, I will try to do my best. I will talk about the record week organized by the Nazi government of state in 1939. In 1939, German racing car and the drivers dominated Grand Prix racing. So the dominance started with Mercedes-Benz in 1935, and the new Bernd Rosemeyer, the new Audi Auto Union star driver, won the European Championship 1936. So in 1936, the Nazi Organization for Motor Racing launched a special event in order to conquer the total superiority of the German racing car and promote the construction of the new Autobahn, the highway, the new network of highway. So the first Rekordwoche, or speed of the record, was held in 1936 on a flat and they are straight section on this Autobahn or highway between Frankfurt Airport and Darmstadt. There was something long, 25 kilometers, and it was carefully arranged, organized for having all the record for the mile, the kilometer, the 5 kilometer and 5 miles, and 10 and 5 miles. So on this stretch of Autobahn, the Rekordwoche was held for 3 years. And you can see from this slide how difficult it was to drive very fast on this motorway, because it was a two lane, quite more than for the time, but with some grand median and bridges crossing the highway with a central pillar. So that was very dangerous. And okay, in 38, they held a special event only on 1 day long in January 28, in 1938, a special event called by Mercedes-Benz in order to correct the failure they had in the Rekordwoche, the record week on 1937. And in that morning, the cold morning, January 28, Mercedes, the new W25R, or I don't know, I'm not sure, because there are no definite document about the name of the chassis of the car. So I think it was a 1925R, but sometime someone written that it was the W125 number 11. I forget the real name. So anyway, Caracciola, driving this Mercedes-Benz, reached the astonishing speed of 432.69 kpm. That is 268 at 86 mph. In the same morning, the Auto Union was on the motorway, on the highway too, with Bernd Rosemeyer, with a special model of the record, the Stromlinienwagen, they called it, so the record car that was modified in 1937. And Rosemeyer had a fatal accident, and the car destroyed after having lost ground effect. And so it was a eventful, a beautiful day for Mercedes, was a tragic day for the German motorsport. And after that, we came to the 39, the Rekordwoche of 39. That was the final end of the Rekordwoche. And the site, the site chosen for the Rekordwoche was a new stretch of the Autobahn under construction between Leipzig and Berlin. It was a 9.4 kilometer long dead straight and dead flat, and they decided to pave over in other words, to put concrete on the median center. So the usual track width was 27 meters, that is 88.6 feet, and overpasses very deliberately built in a single arch without a central pillar, in order to avoid any danger for the driver. The length of 9.4 kilometers was very strange, but was forced by the presence at one end of a Nazi VIP land, and they didn't want to destroy or to disturb the poor Nazi whip. So there were two gentle bends at the end of the flat and the straight section, in order to have some more space for braking and acceleration. But anyway, anyhow, with 1.5 kilometers and more or less than slightly less than 1 mile for braking was too short. But anyhow, they went there. So the new Rekordwoche was scheduled for October 28, but the highway was not ready. So they postponed it to February 29, and that was the record week of 29. And the only player available was Mercedes-Benz, because Auto Union, having lost Rosemeyer in 1938 and lacking the wisdom of Professor Porsche, who had left the company at year-end 1937, Auto Union refused to participate in such a gamble of known speeds that resemble to sheer lunacy. Only Mercedes were available. To avoid the embarrassment of a single category event, Hanomag was called at the very last moment with a diesel engined car, which, in order to try for a new record, something absolutely unknown until now. And so a diesel, can you imagine a diesel engine record car was not so fast like a normal high-speed car available on the street. There was also a BMW motorbike, special station streamlined, in order to conquer the record of half-liter class. The record decided by Mercedes-Benz was the standing start class D like Delta record. So it was something completely different from the 38 previous record. So with a smaller engine, and they used a Grand Prix car, W154 number 11, with a special semi-streamlined body already designed for the Tripoli Grand Prix. So the engine was a 3-liter engine M154.114. The driver was Caracciola, was holding the record of the previous year. He was forced to do the same record for a limited speech. So you see the starting on the right. You can see Major online, who was the big boss of the German speed motor car organization. So it was the car is pushed to the starting line. Not the car starting start. Yeah. You can see the width of the highway. You know, so but Caracciola chose to run on one side because he thought that the center line was too difficult to drive because of too many dirt. So you can see the car under the bridge, and the happy end. So the record was on the kilometer 165.89, and on the mile 204. So it was a kind of easy triumph, called triumph. You can see on the right side, Neubauer very happy, welcoming Caracciola coming back to the starting. The old record was a while was already was set in 1936, sorry, by an Italian driver with the German sounding name of Furmanik, and he did the record on the Lucca motorway near Florence in Italy, and you can see from the slide the old and the new record. So it was an easy improvement of plus 16.6% on the kilometer and 23.6% on the mile. And then on February 14, the final day of the Rekordwoche, Caracciola drove again the 3-liter car, the W154, to improve by 1% the record. Then on February 9, the second day of the Rekordwoche, Mercedes used their fully streamlined car of 1938, but with a 3-liter engine. So for the Class D Delta flying start record, and Caracciola achieved on the return run a speed of 406 kilometers per hour. So it was an astonishing result, because the first time that a 3-liter car went beyond 400 kilometers per hour. So you can see the equivalent of kilometers in miles in mph doesn't mean anything, but for European and for German especially, 400%, 400 kilometers per hour mean something. Yeah. So the press was very, very keen on the record. So you see that the border of 400 kilometers have been bypassed. And note that the photo is 1938 photo, the year before. The press was very, very keen about the record. So there are many articles about the new record claiming the 400 kpm record, while the PR department of Mercedes-Benz didn't too much while Anomag, record by Anomag, was nearly ignored by the people. Only the officials were studying, and the record with the 1.9 liter diesel engine, 35 bhp, was very low. And was a diesel engine, but anyhow, nothing. The aerodynamic was very fine, and the driver was a company engineer. Anomag was a producer of trucks and agricultural tractor. Used the record, the 96.9 mph, to claim the quality of their engine. Then there is a final act after the Rekordwoche on June 2, 1938. The final, there were two recordmen. One was Italian, Count Giovanni Lorani, and another was an Englishman, Goldie Gardner, and they chose the Sau Autobahn to establish the record for small classes. So class Goldie Gardner was a very famous recordman, British recordman. In his career, he held 152 national, international, and overall records, and noted that Goldie Gardner was limping due to a wound inflicted by the German force during the Great War. But he didn't care to head again to Germany to satisfy his thirst for the records. And noted that in less than 2 months, UK and Germany would be at war again one the other. So Goldie Gardner was there. And he went with a small engine and 1.1 liter engine, 4-cylinder engine, supercharged, of course. The MG EX 135. He went to 329 kph record on the mile, so was an astonishing speed. That was noted that he chose to run on the central band. The other recordman was Count Giovannino Lurani, who drove a small 370 cc Guzzi motorcycle, and with a special streamlined body that was like an eggshell covered by this. And he reached 172 72 kpm for the flying start kilometer. And he also did the 10 kilometers record, and he told later that it was the difficulty was to keep himself awake during the about 20 minutes of driving back and forth on that highway across a flat and featureless scenery. So that was it for the 1939 Rekordwoche and for the Dessau section of the highway. But there is a small mystery about the Mercedes car. First of all, in Dessau, that February 8th, there were 2 record cars, not only one, not only the Class D record car, but there was 2. And both cars, the photos of both cars were mixed up in the Daimler-Benz archives, and I found these photos, which clearly show 2 record cars, not only one. And if you remember this note, I highlight the exhaust on the car, and this is quite different from the Class D, the W154 car. And there are small differences, very subtle, but you can note the difference. And this is on the left, you have the old, the W152./3 car, so the Class D Bravo class, and on the right you have the Class D Delta car. So you notice the small difference, but there are different. There were 2 cars, but the problem that Daimler-Benz decided to cancel the W125 car because of a failure, because it didn't work. The engine was very worn out, and Caracciola refused it. So in Nazi Germany, and failure was not a concept, was a concept accepted in Nazi Germany. They didn't. But now, if you allow me a few more minutes, I will tell you the real story between the Dessau strike. So it's this car, the Mercedes D80, 1939, was the car designed for the absolute land speed record at that point held by the British. And the car was designed by Professor Porsche studio starting in 1937. And you can see the shape of the body with the long tail, in order to have the center of pressure behind the center of gravity. The 2 winglets at the side on the center of gravity, and the engine was supposed to be an aero engine, Daimler-Benz 601 or 603, and the car by fall 1939 was completed, but it never ran a single centimeter, a single feet on its own power. You can see on this photo that the engine is on site, but it was only tried once on a test bed, and it was a disaster. So they stopped any progress on that car. The original drawing by Porsche was very interesting. That was the first one in 1937. You can hardly see in order to obtain downforce, they used to have a wing, an inverted profile wing under the two real wheels. But the solution was too difficult to realize, so they opted for the two winglet. The two winglet on the center of gravity was absolutely useless, but it took 30 years, and the Formula One 40 years, to understand the real reason why the winglet very useless and the wing above the real wheel were effective. So more or less, so the Dessau Strait was built for this car, which was absolutely impossible to run on it because it was too short, and not the car had would have melted the brakes in 1.5 kilometer to stop from 600 kilometers per hour. It was absolutely impossible. But anyway, they did it, and they obtained money from the state for this car, and which was discovered, which still exists, and is while the frame is in somewhere in the Stuttgart factory of Mercedes, the body is displayed in the Mercedes-Benz museum. It's the last item of the speed section, and is on the wall after the exit, just above the cafeteria, and is a very sad end for a car whose existence was praised by Hitler himself, when he issued the order to win the land speed record for Germany. He wanted a German car, a German driver on German soil. This is the reason why the Dessau section was built. And it explained the 1939 record was the Rekordwoche was the dress rehearsal for the future land speed record contest. That's it. So sorry. I thank you, and we'll open to questions, if any.
So take a few minutes, stretch your legs, and we'll see you in a few minutes.